are here, we did not lose her. Because we know where she is. And that's where we all desire to be. Unfortunately, we're scared of death. we don't want to go through death. But that's the way. You know, the reality is in this journey of faith, either we go see the Lord or we wait for him to come and get us. So, the attitude of joy is what we need to develop out of the time of circumstances, time of challenging moments. Why? Because we lean on the Lord, and the joy of the Lord becomes our strength to move on, our strength to hope again, our strength to trust in the Lord once more. Number two, why? Because there is a purpose. The purpose is advantages. There are advantages. Why? Because when our faith is tested and is being proven, it comes out like a gold that comes out of fire, shining more. That faith is able to produce endurance. That endurance has to take its full work in order to take us to the full benefit. When we allow it to finish its work, it takes us to a place of spiritual maturity whereby we become complete in the spirit, lacking nothing. Amen. So there's an attitude that we get out of trials because of the joy of the Lord in our hearts. And that joy that makes our faith strong in times of trials produces endurance, and endurance produces, spiritual maturity, takes us to a place of completeness, and we get to a place where we lack nothing spiritually. We are sound, we are strong, we are able to tackle the rest of the journey ahead of us with certainty. And then this is the last point. Ask for assistance. Let's read from verse 4 to 8. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Verse 5 now. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe, not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do. Now, this is my favorite point, and it's the last one. Ask for assistance. When we encounter trials, when we encounter many problems of different kinds, if we want the joy of the Lord really to manifest in our lives, if we do not want to lose the joy of the Lord, you know one thing that steals the joy of the Lord? Every believer is supposed to have, every true believer, let me underline that, every true believer, every true child of God is supposed to have the joy of the Lord in their heart. Why? It is because David tells us in Psalm 51 verse 12, he prays, do not let me lose the joy of salvation. Restore unto me, restore in me the joy of salvation. It is only sin that steals joy, the joy of the Lord from our hearts. Why? Because our relationship with God has been tampered. Look at this. When, we develop a joy attitude, that joyful attitude uses faith, it fuels faith to stay stronger during the time of trials. Why? Because it is pushing forward, because joy has eyes on the prize. Jesus, when he talks about what happened on the cross, why he made it on the cross, Hebrews chapter 12 verse 2 says, for the joy that was set before him, he saw the church that he was buying with his own life, his own blood, and he saw that after defeating the enemy, after redeeming the church, he is going back to the right hand of the Father, and one day he is coming with the church, bringing the church and presenting it to the Father, and that made his joy to endure the cross. You cannot endure trials without this joy. Let your faith be empowered with joy. Now, for you to make it, you know, the things of God never try to be a hero in your own eyes. Don't try to think you can make it on your own. He says, if you lack wisdom, why wisdom here now? Wisdom is the way to implement every single knowledge of the Word of God we ever had. Every understanding of the Word, every prophetic promise of God, it promised to be coming as soon as you wish them to come. You need to ask for God's wisdom. God's wisdom. Let me advise you, brethren, from today. Change the way you pray when you encounter troubles. Change it. You know why we fail? Because we go with our own mindset. We go for miracles, signs, and wonders. And we want them as soon as we want them. So when it doesn't happen, after fasting, after praying, after mobilizing prayer lines from other brethren, after doing all you can and you do not see the answer the way you wanted it, you start getting discouraged and you may end up quitting. But look at this. Ask for wisdom. Ask for divine assistance. Let me tell you, the last time I visited Mama Josephine in the house, she looked at me, and in her eyes I could read what she was telling me. She did not say a word. She looked at me with her beautiful big eyes, and I could hear goodbye. She was telling me goodbye. But I received that message, and I didn't know how to communicate. So, but the Lord gave me wisdom. The wisdom he gave me, I told Pastor from today, it was on a Friday, I said, when you go to church, please mobilize the entire church, especially those intact. That was the wisdom that the Lord gave me from today. When you encounter problems, go to God and ask for wisdom. And God guarantees he is generous, he is willing to give that wisdom to everyone that asks from him. Then he says this, he emphasized, if you really want to find and get that wisdom, never try to ask without. Come with faith, with full confidence in God. Why? Because doubt has no stand, is unstable. It says yes in 1 minute, and the next one it says no. It is not stable. It's like waves that go by the tossing of the wind. But he says the person who comes in prayer with doubt will never expect to receive any answer from God. I want to stop my message here just to remind you that when you encounter trials, you may be going through some right now, and if you are at the tip of the mountain, the mountain where you're giving testimony, you're rejoicing, expect some more challenges are coming next. So when you get there, don't be scared. Just develop this attitude of joy. so that your faith can go to work. Just understand, it is your faith being tested. It is your faith being tested. And being tested, verse 12, it is being tested to see if it is real. It is being tested to be strengthened. It is being tested because at the end of the day, it is giving you the price. Verse 12 says, blessed the person who stays patient to the end. Why? Because after his faith has been approved, through all the testing that he went through, this person will have what? That's what Mama received, the crown of life. Maybe let me use these two words. In Greek, they have two words for crown. One is called diadema. Diadema is a diadem in English. So it is the crown of the kings. The queen that just passed, it was just easily passed to, her brother, right? So why? Because that's how it is. Royalty don't work hard for it. It is in the family. It is passed from one to another. But the crown of life, it is called in the Greek Stephanos. That's where they get the name Stephen from. Stephanos is the crown that is given to the victors, people who fought and overcame. So if you read, Revelation chapter 2, it is filled with those promises. He who overcome, they will get crowned by God, get different kinds of prizes. So, Mama Josephine is in a place to be celebrated and